to the SCS webinar on brownfield construction, a challenge. May I now introduce you to the speaker of the day, Vivek Bhushan Sood, Chief General Manager, Civil, Indian Railway Stations Development. An alumnus of NIT Hamirpur, VB Sood passed his BTech in Civil Engineering in 1993 and joined Indian Railways in 1996. He was a professor in Indian Railways Institute of Civil Engineering, Pune, was also director at RDSO Lucknow, where he further honed his skills in bridge design and bridge management. VV Sood is a keen follower of the adage that only constant in life is change, and was instrumental in introducing new technologies like high-strength friction grip bolts, automatic shear studs, long-welded rails, and many more in Indian Railways. He has authored 2 books, and one is a Railway Curves, and the other is a Steel Girder Fabrication for Railways. He has also authored over 30 technical papers, which have been published in various Indian foreign journals. Now, may I introduce you to the moderator of the day, Professor Charanjit Shah, founder principal, Creative Group. As a founding principal architect of Creative Group, he has spearheaded some landmark sustainable projects in India, including Chennai Airport, Raipur Airport, Goa Airport, Vadodara Airport, and Times Square Mall, Raipur, etc. Led by Professor Shah, Creative Group has also designed the multimodal hubs for Ahmedabad Gandhinagar Metro, Lucknow Railway, Kota Railway, master plan for the city of Jamshedpur, and the iconic terminal building of Kartarpur Corridor project, which was inaugurated by Shri Narendra Modi in November 2019. Besides practicing as an architect, urban planner, and an infrastructure expert, he's also a renowned author, academician, and educationist. He's also the chairperson of the Smart Habitat Foundation, whose role is to promote architectural knowledge among practitioners, academicians, and bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical experience.
Okay, so this is by Santiago Calatrava. He is a world-renowned Spanish architect, and he designs his buildings in the shape of living things and more like birds actually. And what he says is a railway station is something that can generate a city. So mark these words carefully. If it's a grand railway station, a good railway station, the city grows around the railway station. This has happened historically. This is happening now, and this is a very, very important aspect of the planning in the station redevelopment today. Now at IRSDC today, what we are doing is, these are the 7 C's which are the focal points. So what we are doing is that the station has to be well designed to be congestion free. There should be full segregation of the people who are coming and who are going out. It should be convenient. It should be Divyang friendly. Conservation of heritage, conservation of our heritage is existing whatever great structures already constructed. Then it has to be clean. The materials used and the design should be such that the station is a clean station. Communication is possible. People require the signages, signals, announcements. So those should be easy. Convergence of modes. Actually, railway station is also having maybe buses. It also has the metro. It also has the autos, the taxis, and people may be walking by foot. So it should be converging. All these should be integrated in one unit, so that the station actually starts acting like a city center. A station is a city center, but over the years it has lost that character a bit, and it has to be restored to those glories. So that is the whole purpose of station redevelopment. Now, what we are trying to do is, there is one component of station and one component of real estate. So the station has to be iconic, it has to have world-class facilities, it has to be self-sustainable. In addition, it has to be a 24/7 city center where people love to come. Then the commercial, whatever work we are doing, has to be integrated with the station. And we do what is called mixed use transit-oriented development. Now, this is very, very important. This transit-oriented development means that you utilize the trains, the metro, the buses, which can move the people very quickly, very fast, and not increase the load on the existing roads. So it should be offices, the residences, the hotels, the restaurants should be all in one location itself, so that people can walk to work, people can have their pleasure and all other things at one location itself. And we make a comprehensive plan. So that is the whole idea. And this is one of the stations that has been designed. And you can see the kind of vocabulary that has been given here. All this green, you can see this green going right through the property and even in the cross direction. Similarly, lots of roads. so that it is seamlessly integrated with the city. People are able to reach the station without having all this wall of vehicles moving, and so that should not happen. And even across the station, all these trains are there, so people should be easily able to move from this side to the other side. So these are the components of planning. All of this has to be planned together. And one example, what we are creating is called Relopolis. So Relopolis is being constructed, which will be an icon for the city. And this red one is the railway station. This is the commercial development, and you can see from here to here. Now, for 1.5 to 2 kilometers, there is no road, which creates these bottlenecks in the city. So, in addition to make this whole place vibrant, we are creating these additional roads, which will link to from Chandigarh to Panchkula. And also, this is the new station. This is the commercial, and you can see that the bus routes are also being integrated, so that multimodal integration is possible, and people are happy coming to this railway station. It is easy to reach there. Now, already we are working on 6 railway stations, with Habibganj and Gandhinagar going to be commissioned by the end of this year. 8 tenders have been called, 4 by IRSDC, 4 by RLDA. So these tenders are live at the moment and going to be opened shortly. Then more than 100 projects, including New Delhi, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus in Mumbai, Bangalore, Kolkata, Chennai, Udaipur, Kanpur Central, and so many stations. So the work is going on, and there is a target to expedite the calling of tenders. So this is the complete work that we are doing, and just a background of what we are going to discuss. And some of the views of the station. This is Gwalior station. The tender is already out. Left side is Lokmanya Tilak terminus. The plan is being prepared. Right side is CSMT. The plan is ready, but it has to be updated. So this also is going to be, the tender is going to come out very shortly. This is Amritsar. Tender is already out. This is Udaipur city. We are preparing the plan and under discussion. It is being developed. This is Baipanalli. The tender is going to come, I think, either this month or the next month. This is in Bangalore. Surat, this is a multimodal transport hub. This tender was called earlier, and some challenges of financing. Now we are going to call this tender again shortly. So what are we trying to do in this redeveloped station is a new passenger experience. So this is where what Mr. Shah was saying. So what we are doing is, all these greens are the areas where people move when they come to the station and they have to take the train, and this is the concourse. So this is where people wait, rather than people waiting on the platform. People are waiting on the concourse, and this area will provide a good experience for the people who have to take the train. Whereas those who have to come by the train and they are in a hurry to go to their places, they come out with these pink areas, and then they just go out, and both these areas are designed with the unique needs of both kind of passengers because of the mental state they are in. And this is how a concourse should look like. It should be a grand area, and in this grand area you should have the retail, you should have the toilets, you should have the kiosk, you should have the other facilities. Information should be available, and people should be happy waiting here, and it should be an experience similar to what we see in the airports. And these are the large span roofs that we are attempting, that these should span right through the track, so that these roofs, and look at the height, this is around 4 to 5 meters. So this height is 15 to 20 meters. And now this roof integrates this platform with this platform, with this concourse from where the image is prepared. And it becomes one live comprehensive unit. And look at the signages. If we have these kind of signages, these can serve large number of people, because the clutter is totally removed. So these are the different elements which we are constructing, and steel, of course, is required for all of these. All of these are brownfield constructions right above the tracks, and the steel is a very important element of planning. One of the important elements. Yes, we are using composites, and we are leveraging concrete where possible, but steel has a very important role to play. This is Habibganj railway station. So people who have gone to Bhopal, Habibganj is in Bhopal. One of the important stations in Bhopal. So this is the existing station, and the new station building is coming up. Like, this is the west side station building. There is the east side station building. This is the concourse. You can see this concourse. Now these black ones, these two are the commercial which are taken up in the first phase. These white ones are the commercial which will be taken up in the second phase. And then this is the complete arrangement, and both sides we have got major roads going. So this was the first station in India which was handed over to a private developer on the PPP mode, and 1st of March 2017. And since then, the developer has been maintaining this station. And this station, all this development of the station is costing 100 crore rupees, whereas the commercial development is costing 350 crore rupees. Total built up area for commercial which was offered was 12 lakh square feet. So the size of the project is roughly 500 crores. So this is the mid-sized project as far as station redevelopment is concerned. And some of the projects like New Delhi and CSMT are going to be mega projects of maybe around 4,000, 5,000 crores worth of total investment. So this station we are going to discuss in a bit more detail. So IRSDC was the concessioning authority. The master plan was prepared by GMP from Germany, and ICT were their consortium partner. Concessionaire is the Bansal Pathways Habibganj Private Limited. The detailed design is done by AECOM. Proof checking is done by Sterling for structures and Pankaj Dharkar Associates for MEP. Execution is by HMM Infra from Ambala. They did the fabrication. Texture Technologies, they did the design of the launching scheme, and Arcade Consultants did the execution of the launching, which is the case study today. So this is how the Habibganj railway station looks like when we took this over, and lots of lines you can see, and these are the two main lines. So this is on Delhi Chennai main route, and these trains, all the Rajdhanis and Shatabdis and all the major trains, no Shatabdi I believe, Rajdhani, Duronto, all these trains they pass over this along with the goods trains, and we have got 150 plus trains moving every day. So this is the west side building that I showed in the previous slide, and this is the east side, and there was one FOB and another FOB, two FOBs were there. So so this is a big yard. 12 lines are there. So it's a big yard, and this is what we have now visualized this as. Same thing, you can see this is the existing building, a new building. This is the east side building, concourse, and then this. In fact, you can see the new station building, then the new concourse, and then refurbishment of all the platforms is also the scope of the work. So, and what you cannot see in this image is the two subways. So these subways are meant for the people who are coming by train who have to go out. So they quickly take the subway and go out. Whereas people who come to take the train, because they will definitely come a bit early. So this is the waiting area where they will wait till the train is announced. The concourse should look something like this once it is ready, and we'll see. So there are retail areas, sitting spaces, lifts are there, escalators are there. So fully it is 100% Divyang friendly, and fire escape routes. All the design has been done as per the crowd handling norms, and there is a manual which we are following. NBC we are following, so that there is no capacity constraint that something is there are more people than the space can handle. This is how the ground floor looks like. So you have got these are the platforms: one platform, second platform, third platform. This is one side building, this is the other side building. So you can see the columns coming up on the platforms, and then you can see that the concourse has come up, and the different floors also getting constructed. And this is how the whole thing will look like once the thing is ready. If you see the cross section, this is how the cross section looks like, and the plan is what people will be interested in. So the columns, these the red ones are the columns. These columns, these are the columns on the platform, column on the platform, column on the platform, and next to the building. And these are the two subways. You can see a subway here and a subway here. So this is the whole arrangement in plan. And if you see the structural arrangement, we have got these I sections. Multiple I sections at 2.5 meters center to center. They are cross braced, and then there are shear studs provided, and there is a composite deck on top of it. So this is the structural arrangement, and you can see here that different locations have different thicknesses of the plate. So depth is the same. I'll give the salient features. So structural details are these. So welded steel plate girders with composite RCC slab. Maximum span is 47 meters with a depth of 1750, and look at the weight of the span, 35 ton of a single span. So if you see, if you see this one, from here to here is one span. So this length is 35 ton is the weight, and 46 meter is the length. So it is very long, and 35 ton is a very heavy job. So this is what we had to handle and put in place. So this was the real challenge actually, which we have met already. A lot of work has been done, as we'll see in the presentation as we go. So what were the options, different options for launching? One is that we could have used cranes. So you can see a greenfield construction. So cranes are easily available. And instead of one crane, you can use two cranes, and then you can manage the capacity and other constraints. So the launching is very easy. The trailers can come anywhere. But this is not readily possible when you are working, especially in such a big yard. So the radius is very long. The weight of the girder, as we saw, is 35 tons. So to handle 46-meter long girder, the radius will be very high. The cranes of such capacity is very difficult to do to arrange. And then what we had done, what we were required to do, is to construct the subways first, and after that launch the concourse. Which means that the concourse, that there were more obstructions because of all the ramps that we had to construct for the subways. So what is the other option? Other option is to launch using a cantilever nose. We could have pulled all the girders using a cantilever nose, and a very serious thought was given to this scheme. Only hitch was that the girders were heavy, the route was busy. So if something untoward happens, then the traffic will be stopped, and looking at the weight, then it becomes very difficult to restore, and the safeguards which are required will be very costly for the concessionaire. So this is also one of the constraints. You cannot spend unlimited amounts of money for whatever we are doing. So then this was it was feasible. Launching with cranes was not feasible. Cantilever launching was feasible. Then this was not preferred, and launching platform. This is the generic scheme, and launching platform was cost effective. And then we did work with this, and came up with a very innovative scheme, so that we can work safely as well as do the work quickly. Now this was the arrangement actually, and this white one, as we are seeing, is the launching platform. So you see that parallel, this is the location where the concourse will come up, and parallel to this, a launching platform was constructed, and the girders were launched using this. It is just an elementary animation. I'll show a video of this to make it more clear. But just to explain, so this is where we had all the girders coming by road, and the cranes could be used here, where we were handling those 12.5 meter pieces which were coming on the trailer and assembling them to make the girders. So this is our girder going up, and then these girders were braced together. So single girder is unstable, as we saw in one of the images, that a single girder can topple. So these two were assembled together, and then both were pulled together, so that the chance of toppling is not there. You can see that this is the assembled girder, and we got these custom deployees. So these deployees were used to pull the girder in the across the tracks, and this is how the girders were pulled. So just elementary animation. So girder will be pulled across the track like this, and after that it will be pulled along the track. So those deployees, the wheels were rotatable, so they were rotated in the other direction, and the same deployees were used to pull the girder in the other direction, and something like this. So this is the first girder, maybe the next one. So next one and next one. So this is how the launching was done. I'll just show this same thing with a video. There is no sound in this, but this is the yard. And on the left side, you have the girders coming from the factory from Ambala. This is the launching platform, and you can see this launching platform was prepared with the full sheeting, so that no chance of anything falling onto the tracks, and safety of the personnel as well as safety of the trains could be arranged in this. So this is a scale model. It is a building information modeling. BIM was used, a full scale model, so that there are no, the visualization was complete 100%, as I was saying, that you have to visualize your scheme. So in this, we could visualize everything the way it was. We'll see the actual photographs, and you'll see the kind of resemblance that this model has with the actual photographs at site. There is some simplistic representation. This crane cannot put the girder like this, but that apart, the resemblance of the actual site to this model was uncanny. You can see this. So these are the deploys. So one girder has been put on the proper location using this gantry. This gantry was used for that. So this is the next girder. This girder also placed on the deploy. And currently we are outside the track area. So all this platform is done outside the track area. This is the second piece. So 12.5 meter was the limitation for the transportation. So we have got this splicing, bolted splicing, then bracing, cross bracing, top and bottom bracing were provided, and then the girder is moved. And you can see that now the elements of brownfield have been removed. It is essentially a greenfield construction. We are not really bothered with what is happening below, whether the train is coming or not coming. And this is completely secure and efficient. You can work very fast. So more girders will come. This again is a bit simplistic representation, but essentially this explains the process. So after this, once this is done, you can see that these girders will be pulled along the track, and then they will come in place. We'll see the photographs where where this will be more clear. Okay, so this was done. This was the BIM design, and this is not just a representation, but also used for design. So it is the visual representation as well as design done on the same model, so that there is no difference that the visual rendering is done in a different software and design is done in a different software. It may be two totally different things, and there may be mistakes because of that. These are the foundations being constructed for the temporary arrangement. These are the columns or the trestles for the temporary arrangement being painted. This is the erection going on. The small hydra cranes could erect these 1.5 ton maximum pieces were there. This is a beam being launched, and if the block is not, if the block is not available during day, then you work during night. You can see that the work is going on during night with lights and all. So depending upon if you want to shut down the trains, then you have to work with whenever there is a margin between the trains. And you can see there is a trestles being erected, and look at the radius at which this crane is working. So because there is a subway underneath, and the crane cannot come closer. So this is the reason why this cranes were deemed infeasible. There were too many obstructions, and a crane could not have been positioned such that it can handle that 35-ton load. So this was the work. Only these columns were in between the tracks, and you have to avoid the schedule of dimensions. And this erection work was done. Castellated beams were designed, and then so this required the block for the main line, and the whole thing was held up because of this, because the blocks were not readily available, where both the mainline tracks were stopped for some time. So you can see one of the spans launched. You can see the arrangement from the top. And this is the complete arrangement through and through. It is ready, and the platform flooring and other things going on. You can see the girder in the yard which are assembled, and you can see this was the first girder in place. So always we move two girders simultaneously so that there is no chance of overtopping. This railing here was collapsible, so you could remove when the girder is to be screwed. You could remove this railing and pull the girders like this. And you can see this span is complete. This span is going on. So this is how the work progressed. And these are the deck sheeting provided. So after this, the concrete is to be cast, and the composite action will now start once the deck is cast. And so these are some of the recent photographs. So around 70% work for launching has been done. So balance girders will be launched, and then the flooring will be provided. And you can see that this was the platform refurbishment work. This is over. This is where the subways were coming out. So this is also over. This dome is in position. For this building, the dome is to be constructed. Once the flooring is casted, this dome will also start. So we are hoping that most of the work is already done actually. So by end of the year, we'll present this to the nation at Habibganj. Habibganj has many innovations. How that subway were constructed, this cover on platform is also a unique design. So maybe some other lecture will cover the features of this and what was the thought process and how we handled various challenges, technical challenges for this. This is the roof that we have provided at Gandhinagar. Gandhinagar has got this 300 room 5-star hotel which is coming up above the tracks. Again, a very unique project, and in this we have provided 99-meter span through and through arch which is spanning right through all the platforms. So it is a bit like a Churchgate or a CSMT or Chennai Egmore. So these kind of roofs we see in the older stations. So now we are trying to bring those. We saw one image for Gwalior earlier. This we are providing at Amritsar also. We are planning some such arrangement, and here this is a very good roof which has already come in place. You can see the hotel. This is a render, of course, but it is substantially now. You can see it has already substantially come in place, and only the roofing is pending, which is going to commence very shortly. So this station will also be commissioned by the end of this year. So I come to the end of my presentation.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Indeed, I am too excited to see all your endeavors and the type of things which are happening in railways. Surprisingly, things are not on surface as yet, but the way the things are being handled, I would say that they are the true examples of they are landmark projects, sir. And like Habibganj, I would say you really had a lot of issues, a lot of problems, teething issues, and from brownfield, railways or airport is so difficult to make, and you have really achieved it, sir. Thank you very much. First of all, I must congratulate the way these things have been handled and now put into a very professional way. And they are practically where we have understood various last span steel works, how the whole things works, methodology, and everything is now absolutely clear to most of us that and probably steel is the material of tomorrow. So that, of course, is apparently visible. So can we really look into the various questions which are there? Probably one of the questions is do you think that we will be able to, because these are like energy guzzlers, larger infrastructure projects, how do you see that they become net zero, and how we see that they also essentially become intermodal hub? And one more question was that how the segregation between the arrival and the departure passengers are being done. So these are the first intake, then I will take the further questions, sir. So you can just answer these first.
Yeah. So segregation is simple. The images that I showed, and both the projects, Habibganj and Gandhinagar, we have got subways. The subways are meant for the people who come by train. They are in a hurry, so we provide a direct path to them to go out. And for people who come for taking a train, they go up, and everybody goes up and actually stays in the concourse till the time the trains are announced. So that is how the elementary segregation goes. But the problem is that many of the stations, we have got very narrow platforms. So because of those narrow platforms, it is not possible to construct the ramps which are coming up for the subways. So that is creating a challenge. And the second thing what we found is that that construction of a subway is disturbing the railway operations in a big way. It is to be done right across the railway tracks and all the railway tracks. So we found that probably this will be one of the reasons which might actually delay the rolling out of the station development projects. So for further projects that we have planned, we are actually planning that both sides we should have foot-over bridges for going out as well as coming in. And that brings to another problem, that how do people know that which FOB is for coming in, which is for going out? So that is what we rely on our architects to solve this problem. And we have come up with some innovative solutions. So when we roll out our such projects, we'll explain how we are thinking that this can be done.
Sir, another question which comes to the mind, sir, all the projects railway is looking for into PPP mode or something in EPC and BOT or some other modes also?
Actually, the stations are very, very important assets, and these are actually public utilities also. So the thinking since beginning has been that the real estate has to be leveraged, and with those earnings only you have to construct the railway stations, and the EPC work that railway is spending money or government is spending money is not the preferred option. So if we see this, then henceforth there are hardly any projects which will come in EPC. Even if it comes in EPC, it will still be underpinned by earnings from the railway station, from the real estate, and this is in fact a new model concession agreement is being framed so as to make the PPP projects a huge success. Currently the success is not that much. So those efforts are being made at the government level to improve the viability of the project and get all the benefits of the project. So if it is a PPP, what will happen is that the people who are running the railway station, that should be the prime objective. Making money is not the prime objective.
Sir, there are very technical questions from the audience. So, which method we are using to access strength and durability of the existing structures in railways? Should we follow old code available at time of actual construction or latest code available to carry out the strengthening of the damaged structure?
Well, this is indeed a very technical question, and if I were not posted to RDSO, I would not have been able to answer this. But from my previous experience, I can say that basically, if the adequacy of a structure is to be checked, then you have to use the old code. But if you are strengthening, then it is better to actually try to meet the new codes, if it is possible. So because of course you have to use your intelligence, because the conditions which were there at the time of construction, some assumptions we make when we take up a new construction. Those assumptions can now be validated at site, and we can work with those, so you can come to a better understanding of how the structure is behaving and then take a judicious call. But generically, this is what I feel.
Sir, what is the reason that Indian Railways has not yet addressed the gap issue between the train floor and platform? And how can the accidents be avoided, which happen every day? What is the solution, and how soon can we see this addressed?
Yeah, so this was a question we answered earlier. So this is a very technically involved thing and a difficult thing. Railways have been thinking on these lines, but no breakthrough yet, because we have got very wide variety of rolling stock because of the legacy issues. So it's slightly difficult topic, but not something that railway is not thinking on. So I'll not be able to answer because I'm not the person who can give a timeline for this. But yes, this is a concern.
Sir, how are we interfacing such new dimensions with stations falling between these corridors, and naturally station development? Majority of Indian Railways standard steel bridge designs are very old in Indian Railways, RDSO, working on the implementing of new and efficient designs. If so, which organization is into design, and how we check the strength of the welding at site after consideration, after construction is completed? Are we still, the fillet welding is not acceptable in railway bridges?
Okay, so lots of questions. So first thing is the RDSO, which is in Lucknow. That is the organization which takes up the standardization aspects. So not all the designs come from RDSO. Zonal Railways and RVNL, they also do their own design. Dedicated Freight Corridor is doing its own designs. If there are new organizations like High Speed, they will do their own designs. So there are lots of design offices in India. MCRTC will do their own design. And whatever designs in station development are being done, so IRSDC will be approving those designs. And it will be coming to us, and At IRSDC, I'll not be talking about anybody else. So at IRSDC, we think about how we can bring in efficiencies. Somebody has said that some new sections, light sections are being manufactured, let us say by SAIL. So how those can be used? Well, those can be examined, and we'll see if these bring benefit. If these are proven designs, yes, we'll adopt them. If, because those are always a concern, because we put today something today, and after 10 years it starts giving trouble. So that is a problem. And my experience with maintenance is that is much more important than actual construction. So those concerns are always there, and that is why adoption of new technologies in railways is slightly slow, because we know that being a 160 plus years old organization, we know that all these years pass and then the structure start giving trouble. Another question, I think there were many questions. One question was about the fillet welds. So
Yes.
that is a very technical question. I'll not really go into that in this presentation. But the bolts that we have provided in Habibganj, bolting is used for making the connections, and we are using high strength friction grip bolts, not bearing bolts. So I think it was 8.8 grade bolts were used for at Habibganj.
Sir, as steel, what is your intake, make in India, made in India? Do you think that the market is fully equipped with what is desired and required for these large type of structures in terms of availability of material, in terms of even the welding and other things put together, or still we are dependent on something which is coming from outside into steel construction?
My experience is the two projects that we have done. Both the projects, all the steel was sourced in India only, and I think India has got enough capacity to take care of the kind of projects we are doing. Unless we need something really specialized steel, then only the imports will be there. Otherwise, it is make in India only. And related question is there. So somebody has asked, what is the total quantum of steel which will go into these projects? So I can just share looking at my some calculations. So total what we are doing at Habibganj is 12,500 tons of steel, and Gandhinagar was 13,000 tons of steel. So this estimate we did once. So if we take 10,000 tons per project on a conservative side, so this includes rebars and then this includes structural steel. So structural steel will be around 30%, 25% of this. So that is the kind of scope which is available for working in the station development projects.
So any new innovation you would like to wish to have from the industry, so that the industry can take it further as a take on and do some innovation so that the steel fabrication and the steel methodology could be well taken up and faster?
Yes, in fact, we have already tried to do the modularity, and as we go ahead, we'll standardize the design so that we don't need to design every time. But what we need is this foundation construction is a very challenging task, and this is what is delaying the projects the most. Getting the project above the ground is the main challenge, and working on the platforms is the most challenging thing. So we have been trying to look at low displacement, maybe precast piles or steel piles, in fact, which can be just driven into the ground, and the construction should start as a group of piles, and then we should just go for the pile cap and further construction. So, yes. So that is one very, very important innovation that we want. Second is these large roofs that we have provided. One approach we have followed in Gandhinagar. So that was very exciting and a different kind of a challenge. But I bet that our people can come up with much, much better designs, which can be launched a lot easily.
Sir, in a very technical question, though, maybe that in case you're, we have less of time, but still, which code have been used for design of composite members? And is Indian code sufficient to design composite members? What is the grade of steel? Bolts are SG, FG or bearing? What kind of connections were used at the support of the girders? shear connections or rigid connections, where we can get new loading standards of Indian Railways. So these are some of the very technical questions. So
Yeah.
if you wish, yeah.
Okay, so loading standards you can find at Indian Railway website. There is a book called Bridge Rules. So though in those bridge rules, all the loading standards are given, including DFC loading and 25-ton loading, which is being used currently. The field connections were HSFG bolt. I'm not really aware at the moment about the about the about the grade of steel and other things that have slipped out of my mind, what we have used at Habibganj. But the support is very important. So I'll just dwell half a minute on that. We have provided neoprene bearings. The girders are continuous, and these neoprene bearings are designed for vibration, because the rock was at the surface at Habibganj, and we did the vibration studies. Zenek Lazen was the consultant, and they found out that the structural vibrations will come unless we isolate the concourse from the supports. So these bearings which we provided between the girder and the columns, these are rubber bearings with vibration attenuation characteristics. So that people who are sitting and a train passes below the concourse, then people should not get they should not feel the excessive vibration. So that is why so that was very important. So that is important. We always, for both the projects, we have done vibration studies. Going further, also all the projects we should do the vibration studies, so that those don't affect the comfort of the passenger sitting.
I think, like about 20 years back, at the time of Sridharan taken over as the metro, and it was a big challenge, and we've been very successful in creating the metro network. And now I think we are heading towards another big challenge on terms of the railway stations redevelopment and railway land holding is a challenge, and it is, I think, it will shape up our cities in a very, what you call it, in an automation mode, in terms of the last mile connectivity, multimodality, and various more things put together, and also as many district centers where it becomes work centers, it becomes as community places. So I mean, I think the way is these things are being taken up by the railways is really fantastically taken up. And another few questions were there. Are we using BIM? Of course, we are using BIM, and technology is very, very, very exponentially being used in all these projects, because steel is one thing which cannot be fabricated without BIM or without being on to the computer, because today in automation, wire diagrams, other things are so important that everything is made as per the computerized drawing and the shop drawings. So, I mean, I take it this, that steel, which is a material which has exponentially being now increasing into the construction industry, because this is one of the fastest material which I don't need any setting time, I do not need any retardant or any other add-on mixture wherein I accelerate my work, and also it can work off the grid. And I mean, your presentation is a beautiful insight of all these effects of understanding how the large brownfield projects can be handled. And mind it, it's not that too easy to create that sort of infrastructure where we have to run the city, we have to run the railways, we have to run to the airport, and as well as create these massive projects which are iconic, dynamic, and I would say something which we dream for tomorrow's India's creation, and we say yes proudly, we are a developed nation. All these things I really adore. The way you have expressed are something which has to be looked into. Perhaps we have to, just because maybe that with COVID things are really gone a little slow down in terms of I say that in the real estate management or the trends in the new real estate, and we need to relook into the real estate and reshape our project so that they can be implemented at the fastest.